Hey guys, welcome back. So I know so many of you were dying for another screen recording. So, I had to give it to you. So Nat Geo Teach is back in action. Although Nat Geo Teach isn't feeling that well, it's still going to help you to understand the types of governments. Okay? So going along with our small Google Classroom assignment that we're doing, we're choosing a form of government. If you're still, I'm not totally sure what necessarily types of governments there are. I don't really know what to pick. Me explaining this more in depth, and you can even watch this again, will help you in an immense way. As I'm talking, also please fill in the graphic organizer that I gave you at the start of class. Okay? So the first one, and this is one that is readily used in our country. We are a democracy here in the United States. The government is elected by the people. We just had our local elections, so people, politicians around the Upper Darby area and throughout the country were just elected. We want those people to have a say in government. That's why we're electing them. We are electing them to accomplish something. Okay, so everyone who is eligible to vote has a chance to have say in their government. So once you turn 18, you can apply. You can apply to be registered to vote. Next form of government is an autocracy, and this is a government by a single person having unlimited power. Despotism, domination through threat of punishment and violence. So as depicted, you can see a single ruler and a bunch of people basically kneeling in submission, saying, we will do anything you want, please, essentially, don't hurt us. Now, if you need to hear the name of this again, sure, I'd love to provide it for you.
Autocracy.
Now, again, this is through domination and punishment, threat of violence. So people in this type of government, the people are really scared of the ruler. Oligarchy, a government in which a few people, such as a dominant clan or clique, have power. So only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people have the power, and the rest of the people in the country do not. So a group, this one's easy, oligarchy, a group of people have the power. Maybe you want to give the power to your friends, but the rest of the people in the country might suffer. Monarchy, many of us have heard of this throughout history. There's been many monarchs. Some are crazy, some are good. For example, the United Kingdom still has a monarchy, although they do have a House of Lords, which is almost like our House of Representatives. So a monarchy has a king, queen, emperor, or empress. The ruling position can be passed on to the ruler's heirs. So this means their bloodline, their brothers, their sisters, their sons, their daughters, and so on. In some traditional monarchies, the monarch has absolute power. That means no one else is providing support, and that monarch, whatever that monarch says, goes. A constitutional monarchy, like the UK, as I mentioned, has a democratic government that limits the monarch's control. So other people are elected, and they make decisions as well. Dictatorship. A country ruled by a single leader. The leader has not been elected and may use force to keep control. In a military dictatorship, the army is in control. Now, the depiction, the political cartoon over here says Saddam. This is a cartoon sketch of Saddam Hussein, who we once fought a war against, the Iraqi war to be specific. So Saddam Hussein was a dictator. He only controlled the country through fear and because he had a large army. He was a general. So one person controlling the country by force with a large army is a dictatorship. Anarchy. Now this is a little bit special. An anarchy is a situation where there is no government. This can happen after a civil war in a country, when a government has been destroyed and rival groups are fighting to take its place. Anarchists are people who believe that government is a bad thing and that it stops people organizing their own lives. Now, we've seen this throughout history. Again, it usually happens when a country is in the middle of a civil war. There's a bunch of different groups trying to take control. But just remember, anarchy, it's crazy. People are fighting in the streets, people are robbing people. It's just craziness, but that's what an anarchy is. Capitalist. And we don't really necessarily have to worry about this. We're going to talk about a capitalist system a little bit more when we go over economics. Communist. In a communist country, the government owns property such as businesses and farms. It provides its people healthcare, education, and welfare. So you have to give up some of your own things, such as, for example, if you're a farmer, and let's say you're doing, you're a pretty successful farmer. You're doing a really, you're having bountiful crops of, let's just say, corn. Now, in a communist government, they will take your corn and it will be dispersed amongst everyone else. So you don't make that money, although you worked really hard for that corn. That money goes to everyone, and it more specifically goes to the top tiers, the leaders in the Communist Party. But basically, everyone's working together in the common good. But instead of having to pay for healthcare like we have in the United States, it's provided to you. Education is provided to you, and also when you retire, welfare if you are struggling. Republic is a country that has no monarch. Us, United States. The head of the country is usually an elected president. So the argument's always made that the United States is a bit of a republic and a bit of a democracy because we do have a president, but we also have elected officials because we have say. We can vote. Revolutionary. If a government is overthrown by force, the new ruling group is sometimes called a revolutionary government. It's pretty easy. So basically, if there's an overthrow that happens, that government is called a revolutionary. It's a revolution. We need change now, just like is happening in a couple countries, more specifically, like last year, Venezuela was going through a revolution. Many countries have. French Revolution, change, time for change. People get tired of the same old and they want something, they want reform, they want a better life, so they're going to have a revolution. All right, here's another one that's really tricky to say, so we're going to bring it back to our nice Google voice here.
Totalitarianism.
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 Okay, so if we go back to our slide, and we're done with religion. Oh, sorry, my friends. Totalitarianism is a country with one political party. So we have, we've talked about this. We have Republicans, we have Democrats, we have independents, we have Green parties. We have a lot of parties, but this is just one party. People are forced to do what the government tells them and may also be prevented from leaving the country. So you can only be in one party. So a great example of this was the Nazi Party in the 1940s. If you weren't a part of the Nazi Party, you were basically, put in jail. You were kicked out of the country. You weren't allowed to leave at some points. You were just forced to work. So this is a great example of the Nazi regime. You had to be a part of their party. If you weren't, then you're an outsider. Let's do a little quiz. So write this at the back, on the back of the graphic organizer. Number 1, this form of government is elected by the people and everyone is eligible to vote. Write it down now. Take a second. Democracy. 2, a government ruled by king, queen, emperor, or empress. Write it down. A monarchy. 3, a country ruled by a single leader. The leader has not been elected and may use force to keep control. The force to keep control is the giveaway, the dictatorship. Always a dictatorship. Government by a single person having unlimited power, despotism, domination through the threat of punishment and violence. Autocracy. And that's all we're going to do for now. All right, so now what you're going to do, you're going to go back to our assignment. So if we're going to step by step it, classroom. let's just say period 1, classwork. Working period 2, forms of government. Okay, continue to work. So, for example, we started this yesterday and 0 people have turned it in yet. So we got to keep working hard and check in with me if you need any help. Thanks, guys.